Why, hello there. I'm Sin. We are in the Book Nook, and today we're going to talk about my past, present, and future of books. What I've finished, what I'm in the middle of, and what we're going to get into. Okay, so recently I finished Stephen King's book, The Eyes of the Dragon, and this is a fantasy story. It has the returning of one of his great evil villains, Randall Flagg, who was also in The Stand and the Dark Tower series, and he is a great evil villain. I do like him as a character and hate him as a character. You know what I'm saying? So it's a story as old as time in these fantasy books. There is an ailing king, the good King Roland, and he has two sons, Peter and Thomas. Peter is the eldest, Thomas is the youngest, and Peter is sure of himself and he is confident and he is good and kind, and Thomas is just unsure. He doesn't have friends. He's always sad and depressed, and he feels like everyone's always like, Peter this, Peter that. So he loves and hates his brother at the same time. And Randall Flagg is the king's magician, and he wants frickin' Thomas to become king because Thomas is easily malleable and moldable, and he can just puppet master him and do whatever the F he wants. He doesn't want Peter to become king because Peter will get and kick Flag the F out of the kingdom, and he knows that. So he's going to try his darndest to make Thomas the new king when Roland passes on. And it was a really great fantasy read. I will have a standalone review coming for this, so if you want a little bit more in depth on that, that will be coming, so keep an eye out for that. Now, currently, I'm in the middle of a book called Pan by Michael Clune, and I'm still unsure if there's going to be any kind of like paranormal weirdness, but it follows this main character who is a boy named Nick, and he's between the ages of like, throughout the book, I think he's 15 when it starts, and then we're up to maybe 17 years old now. And he has panic attacks. And when he does, he feels like he's coming out of himself. Like, he starts having thoughts like, I'm inside this face and my hand is a thing, and he can get lost inside of a certain music, like there's like a portal or a doorway, and everything is so weird. The descriptiveness in how this author writes is beautiful and fantastic. The way the descriptions are very visual. They're very visual, they're very vibrant, they're very just, they paint a wondrous picture. I can't describe well enough how descriptive and fantastic that the author writes. I've never heard of this author before. I just picked it up because, I don't know, Pan kind of pulled me in, just the idea of, you know, the god of the wild and the woods and whatnot. So there's some of that mythos, and I am over 100 pages in, but as I said, I'm not really sure if there is a supernatural element to it. It seems a lot of like questioning and philosophical stuff, and, you know, kids being kids or teenagers being teenagers and doing teenage stuff. There might be some substances involved in partying and whatnot. And just as this Nick fumbles through life and trying to get his panic attacks under control, and like how he's able to do that, but then it leads to still having like anxiety and stuff. And it's really fascinating so far. I'm enjoying it. I think what I enjoy most about it is just the descriptions. The story is decent, but the descriptions and where it's at in this, I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about the story overall. It's holding my attention. It's not a read that I'm like, God, this is addictive, I need to know what happens next. I don't feel that way about it, but I'm enjoying the process of reading that. Like, I think sometimes each reading experience is just, it's different. Some reads are addictive and you cannot put it down. Like, I've had a book where I've canceled plans because it was that good and I needed to know what the heck is happening next. I've had other books that, yeah, I just love the immersion of these descriptions, and you're like, wow, what a great frickin' sentence, or what a great paragraph describing like this thought process of staring out the window till eventually you saw what was grass become water, and then you started to see like the waves of the water, even though you're looking out at a grassy field, and somehow it's transforming into something else. There's like weird stuff like that in this book. Each book is sometimes experienced differently. Some books you're like enjoying, you pick it up, you put it down. It's easy to do that. Some you can't put down. So each thing is different, and this is kind of how I'm experiencing this one a bit differently. So yeah, Pan. We'll have to give you an update on the future on how that one turns out. All right, so 2 books that I'm going to get into. Got these from the library. First up, we have Eat the Ones You Love by Sarah Maria Griffin. And I picked this up because I'd been seeing this on the social medias. Did I read the synopsis? Nope. Just been seeing it around, and I was like, all right, well, sounds like it's probably horror. Eat the Ones You Love. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. So let's tell you about it. After losing her job and her fiance and moving back from the city to live with her parents, Shell Pine needs some help. And according to the sign in the window, the florist shop in the mall does too. Shell gets the gig, and the flowers she works with there are just the things she needs to cheer up. Or maybe it's Nev, the beautiful shop manager who is making her days so rosy? Question mark. But you have to get your hands dirty if you want your garden to grow, and Nev's secrets are as dark and dangerous as they come. In the back room of the flower shop, a young, sentient orchid actually runs the show, and he is hungry. Feed me, Seymour. And he has a plan for them all. Oh no. When the choices are to either bury yourself in the warmth of someone else's fertile soil or face the cold and disappointing world outside, which would you choose? And what if putting down roots came at a cost far higher than just your freedom? Okay, well, that sounds interesting, and it's got Little Shop of Horror vibes, and I like that. So that's pretty cool. And it's got a sentient plant. So this will be the third book I've read about sentient plants, and this is the first horror I've read about a sentient plant, because the other ones were like cozy fantasy, and those plants were like lovely, and they weren't all trying to eat people. Because I'm going to assume with the title like Eat the Ones You Love, that plant wants to eat the humans. Always, helps it grow well. I don't know. Okay, next up is just a random one that I grabbed because I used my book radar, or my Sin vibes. I saw this book. I liked the title. The House on Watch Hill. I don't know, books that sound like they could be Gothic. I don't know if it's Gothic, but, it's got these like little gates and little rows here, and I was kind of drawn to that. And so let's tell you what it's about. Zoe Gray is reeling from the sudden death of her mother when she receives a surprising call from an attorney in Divinity, Louisiana, with the news that a distant relative has left her an inheritance, the terms of which the lawyer will only discuss in person. Destitute and alone, with nothing left to lose, Zoe heads to Divinity and discovers she is the sole beneficiary of a huge fortune and a monstrosity of a house that sits ominously at the peak of Watch Hill. But she must live in it alone for 3 years before the house or the money is hers. Met with this irresistible opportunity to finally build a future for herself, Zoe puts aside her misgivings about the foreboding Gothic mansion and the strange circumstances surrounding the inheritance and moves in, quickly encountering a red-eyed Stygian owl and an impossibly sexy Scottish groundskeeper. Zoe's new home is full of countless secrets and mystifying riddles, and with doors that go nowhere, others that are impossible to open, and a turret into which there is no visible means of ingress. And the townspeople are odd. What Zoe doesn't know yet is that her own roots lie in this very house, and that in order to discover her true identity and awaken her dormant powers, she will have to face off against sinister forces she doesn't quite comprehend or risk being consumed by them. And I thought that sounded kind of awesome. I love haunted house stories. It sounds Gothic. It sounds weird. And yeah, so I'm pretty stoked to read this one. And I would say, out of all of these, I think I might be the most excited for this one. I've been really loving books with Gothic vibes lately. I don't know if it's because it's summer's starting to wind down and we're getting closer and closer to fall. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's what makes me want to read more Gothic books. Stay inside and out of the heat. I still go out there every day because I got to water the garden. But yeah, been digging the Gothic books. At some point in time, I'm going to have to put together a video about like some of my favorite Gothic reads. That'd be a good video topic. I do like top 10. I don't even know if I have 10 yet, so we might have to wait a while till I read 10 of my favorite. I can't just put it together with like mediocre ones. I need them to be good. Do you have any favorite Gothic reads? Let me know down in the comments, like some of your favorite Gothic books, actually. I would like to find a few more to add to my TBR. So, if you enjoyed hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.